guys, what's going on? Thank you so much for watching today. Welcome back to another Sims 4 speed build, and in today's video we are going to be building a student's study home. Now this is meant to be a home like somewhere off campus, a house that a student is renting. I will say this student has a bit of a budget because I did not really take into consideration the costs of things that I was using, and let me tell you, as I was a student, I would not have been able to rent this house all by myself, and it is only a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom house, and it's really only meant for one sim, being that there's only going to be a single bed in the bedroom. But that aside, we're going to pretend a little bit that this sim has a bit of money wherever they're coming from. They're able to rent this by themselves. We are decorating the house to be fit for somebody going to university. Before we get too much into the build though, I did want to thank you guys so much. Our last video, if you haven't caught it, was a modern small home. I don't think it qualified as a tiny home. It was a small home. You guys killed it with that video. It has like 14,000 views and I can't believe it. I'm so glad you guys loved it so much, but thank you guys so much for the love and support over there on that video. And if you haven't checked it out, it's the very last one I uploaded, and hopefully you guys like this one as well. I kind of continued the kind of orange theme with this one, kind of those warm, bright colors. I definitely imagined that this sim, whoever they are, likes bright, fun colors. So in the interior, when we get there, there are some things that are kind of sort of mismatched, lots of like blue, lots of yellow, lots of orange kind of colors, but just anything bright and fun is what I was imagining this sim would like. I also want to apologize to you guys for the lack of videos in the last month or so. It's a long time since I've uploaded a video onto this channel. For those of you that follow my first channel, Simply Savannah, you'll know because I've talked about it more so over there. I took a vacation to Florida. It was a wonderful vacation and I had so much fun. We went to a couple different zoos. We went to Disney World as well as Animal Kingdom, and then we just spent a few days kind of hanging out at the resort that we were staying at, you know, by the pool, soaking up some sun, getting slightly sunburned, but not too bad, so it's okay. Trying to survive the Florida heat, which as a Southern California girl myself, I am not used to whatsoever, and I almost melted on multiple occasions. But that aside, it was a very good vacation, aside from the fact that the second to last day or so there, I started feeling a bit sick, came home, and unfortunately I tested positive for COVID. So I spent the last 2 weeks, almost 2 weeks, it's been about 10 days, being sick and trying to recover from that. And for those of you that have had COVID already and know what I'm talking about, I am fully vaccinated and boosted, but I still had terrible flu-like symptoms. I was achy and fevery and congested, and it was just miserable. And then that only lasted for a few days. After that, I was dealing with a complete loss of appetite, lots of lethargy, just super exhausted and out of it feeling, and that has prevented me from getting some videos out in a timely manner. So I do apologize. I'm feeling a little bit better now. I have a lingering cough, which I'm assuming is going to be with me for a few more weeks as I kind of continue to recover, but I do get to go back to my real job tomorrow. My 10-day quarantine is over. I'm not testing positive anymore, and I'm able to go back and go to work. And I have to say, I've never wanted to go back to work so bad in my life. I miss my job. I miss leaving my house. I'm not a person that kind of sits on my couch for long periods of time or is not productive for long periods of time, and not feeling well and not feeling the ability to be productive has been driving me insane. So I'm ready to kind of get back to my normal routine, and I'm ready to get back to playing video games. So this build, speaking about what we're doing today, took me probably about a week to put together because I did build in little increments or so. I spent a lot of time on the exterior of this house. Actually, I spent a lot of time on all of it. This video is going to be slightly longer than the last one at about 20 minutes long. I spent a lot of time kind of thinking about which piece I was going to put down, which object I was going to use, and trying to make sense of it in my head. I also spent a lot of time looking through the debug menu. What I think I might do do is I might make myself some rooms and throw a bunch of the debug objects in them that I use most frequently, and then I can just kind of pull out that room. Because like these little stones, for example, I knew I wanted to use them. I knew they were base game and I knew they were debug, but I searched forever for them and I couldn't find them. And then finally, obviously, found them because we're using them in the front of this build. But if I had them just kind of on a room that I could pull out and utilize really quickly and really easily, I think it would make my job a whole lot easier. I just have to earmark some time to do it and actually remember to do it. So I think that's what I'm gonna do sometime in the near future, because there are some certain objects from the debug menu that I just kind of use all the time, and lots of plants and stuff that I pull from the debug menu as well. But we're making the outside of the house just kind of cutesy with some plants here and there, doing my kind of normal landscaping work. I did put two little gardening squares there, gardening pots, so if the sim wanted to do a little bit of gardening, although I didn't want to focus too much on that because with this sim being in university, my thought was that they were going to spend a lot of time probably studying and then a lot of time hanging out with their friends, you know, doing social stuff and whatnot, as you do when you're in college or university. So I really didn't focus too much on like exterior stuff. I did want to throw that bike out there, one, because I think it's absolutely adorable and I love using it, but two, that way they have some way to get to and from university, because they probably don't have a car, I imagine. We're building in the university city, university world, and now that I mention that, I completely forget what it's called. I looked it up before I started my voiceover and now it's completely left my mind, but the world that came with Discover University is the world that we're building in. It's this little lot that's kind of on its own. I like the size of it, and more importantly, I like the lighting on this lot, which is why we're building here. So that was kind of, you know, how I decided that really was just lighting, and I wanted it to be a standalone house. I didn't really want to make a house that was kind of close to others or make like kind of a townhouse or an apartment or something like that. Wanted it to be a standalone. But we have pretty much finished the exterior. We are moving to the interior, starting with the kitchen, and then directly through the kitchen where the front door is kind of like the living space. Then there is a small bedroom, and then there's a bathroom. I think I actually missed the small house tiles by like 2 tiles or something like that. And at that point, when I realized I had put a bunch of furniture down and really kind of gotten the layout all situated in my mind, and I really didn't want to change anything. I liked the house so much. I feel like a lot of times I sit down, I say, okay, I'm gonna build a tiny home, and then I end up building and I get happy with something and it's like huge. Like I have such a problem building so tiny because I feel like I want to add so much in. So I think that's what I'm going to challenge myself to in the near future, is just making a true tiny home where it's like, I think it's 30 tiles or less. And I think a small home is like 100 or less, or maybe I missed 100 tiles by 2, something like that. I forget, but it doesn't qualify for what I was trying to qualify for, is my whole point. But yeah, so I'm thinking that I will challenge myself to really make a small, a tiny home rather, that's like 30 tiles. I don't know how I'll fit everything in there, but it'll be a fun challenge to try to make it work. I struggled a little bit here with a dining space. I really wanted to have some sort of table and chair, and I was at first kind of thinking like I have to have 2 chairs, that way if they have somebody over, there's 2 people that can sit there. But in the end, I had to remind myself like this is for a university sim. Yeah, sure, maybe they'll have somebody over, but they'll probably just eat on the couch or hang out in the living space or what have you. So I ended up just sticking with 1 table and 1 chair, but that way it's functional, so that way they could make food and sit down at their table. And a lot of the furniture pieces that I end up using, I was trying to go with like, well, they'd probably have a lot of like hand-me-downs or stuff that they got from garage sales or something like that. So I was trying to pick furniture that like matched and was cohesive but didn't look like perfect, if you know what I mean. So originally I grabbed this futon, but I end up going to the couch from Paranormal Activity Kit. what was that pack? Stuff pack? The Paranormal stuff pack? Yeah, I think that one. Because I love the pattern. And again, this sim, I imagine, just loves patterns and bright colors and all that kind of stuff. So I thought it was a perfect couch, and I actually haven't used it before, despite the fact that it's one of my favorite couches in the game. It's a love seat, rather. It's a, you know, 2-tile love seat, but I love it so much, and I haven't used it yet. So I figured this was the perfect occasion for that. Doing a little bit of clutter, we gave her a small TV because I imagine, again, she doesn't have a whole lot of money, but also she might not spend a whole lot of time watching TV with all her studies and everything. I wanted to make sure to give her some things for storage to make it look like she has the ability to put things places, and then books all over the place. Basically, I put a stack of books on the couch. There's going to be a stack of books on her bed. I put some pencils on the dining table. That way, you know, that looks like her little study space. For a while when we moved to the bedroom, I was really trying hard to get a desk in there, which I believe you'll see. I don't believe I cut it out, but I was really trying hard to get a desk in there, but the layout just wasn't quite working. It was getting too squished for me, and I ended up shrinking the house anyway. Like, this bedroom becomes one whole tile smaller. It basically becomes, what is that, 2 by 4, I think, or 2 by 5 is what it is. And so we kind of squish everything in, and the desk just doesn't end up working. It was going to look too cluttered. So I figured, you know what? She has a dining table. It's a whole house to herself. It's not like she's sharing the house with roommates. So it's not like she has to lock herself in her room to do her studying and get some peace and quiet. So I figured that having her be able to study out in the living area was just fine, and she could come into her bedroom for sleep. With the bedroom, I did struggle with wood textures. I mean, kind of story of my life with Sims in a way, because a lot of the wood textures from different packs don't exactly match up. And I really wanted to use that side table from Snowy Escape, because in my opinion, it's one of the only side tables that looks proportionally correct for a twin bed in the game. Something about the size of the twin beds and the proportions to the side tables. The side tables always look massive to me, but that Snowy Escape one actually looks pretty good and pretty to scale and whatnot. So I really wanted to use it, but it has a very particular, you know, set of swatches for the wood tones, and I was really struggling to find something that kind of matched it exactly. But I ended up going with white and then kind of a light wood tone for the bed, as you see here. And this still doesn't end up being the final layout. I'm still trying to fit a desk in here somewhere until I eventually decide to kind of squish it down and make it much smaller. This build, as always, is up on the gallery for you guys if you would like to download it and play with it. I did use a variety of different packs in the game. I keep telling myself I'm going to do some limited pack builds, and then I get carried away and I love my favorite objects too much, and so then I end up just using a whole handful of different things from all sorts of different packs and whatnot. But I promise I'm gonna get to it. I'm gonna try to pick like 3 or 4 packs and try to build like just within those 3 or 4 for a couple. One of my next builds I think I want to do with the announcement of the small campers kit. There was 2 that actually just got announced today as I'm recording this. There was like a nighttime chic build, or not build and buy, a CAS kit that'll come with a bunch of clothing and stuff like that. I probably won't be picking that one up just because I don't normally do any sort of gameplay. I normally just kind of build. But the little campers kit, I think is what it was called. It was like the outdoor activity camping kit. It had like a little s'more station and some crates that the kids were sitting on, and a projector they were looking at, and it's absolutely adorable. So I'm thinking of possibly doing like a rental property, like a little cabin out in the woods somewhere, and utilizing that kit a lot. I can't wait to get into the kit and see what actually is there. A lot of times, you know, these kits and packs and things things like that are centered around a certain aesthetic and whatnot, but they have like a couple pieces that are universal and that I end up using for pretty much everything. So I can't wait to see what it comes with. I am personally a fan of the kits, especially for build buy stuff, just because, you know, they're $5 in the US and you just pick them up and you get a few more things to build with. Although they do add up, you know, the more kits they release, you know, $5 adds up pretty quickly. But I'm very excited about new content, and I can't wait to see what the game pack is as well, because we should be getting an announcement for the game pack sometime soon. And I think everybody believes that it's going to be werewolves, but I don't know exactly what it's going to be called or what it's going to entail. So very excited about that. Anyway, the very last thing that we are finishing up is going to be the kitchen. I try not to overdo it with clutter in this entire build, really, and try to keep things pretty simplistic. Again, being a university student, I don't believe that she would really have a whole lot of stuff. But you know, she has the essentials, some clutter stuff and some pots and pans and plates, and this little bread cabinet, I think it's called, is one of my favorite objects ever. It came from the Country Kitchen kit or the Cottage Living. It might be Cottage Living, and now I forget, but it's one of those. It's my favorite thing, and I use it in almost every single build. But giving her some tea on the shelves, some plants everywhere, just because plants are easy decoration, and hopefully this whole thing is functional. I didn't play test it, but I don't see anything in here that I placed that would make it unplayable. I tried to keep in mind that some things, like when we were doing the bathrooms, some things in here are going to be like fixed, like she's not going to have been able to pick all the finishes and stuff like that on everything. The wallpaper would have been how it is when she moved in and stuff like that, just because it is a rental property. But yeah, just hanging up a few more little things here and there to kind of go along with the university student kind of feel, you know, give her a little bit of artwork, give her that little calendar / bulletin board, hang up some curtains. And then at the very end, the very last thing we do is work on the outside little patio, which is just very simple. It's a couple chairs and whatnot. I figure, you know, she's got all this stuff inside, and that's probably where her like budget ran out. She did not have any more money to furnish or decorate like the little outdoor patio, but that could also be another little study space for her. She could go out there, do her homework, read a book, you know, whatever she wanted to do. And then very last minute, I decided that I would add the stuff for a cat. So I ended up putting the litter box out on the outside patio just because there was no way it was going to fit in the bathroom. And then I add some bowls, a little scratching post, and stuff that the cat would need, because I figure, you know, you're living by yourself. I'm a huge animal person. I have 2 cats myself. I actually have 2 cats, 3 dogs, a cockatiel, a tortoise, and a snake at my house. I have a lot of pets, but I figured while you're at university, you might want somebody to snuggle with and keep you company, and cats are pretty easy pets for a student to have, you know, so I figured that would be kind of cute. So I put the stuff in there so that she could have a cat with her while she is at college. I had 2 cats myself while I was going through college, so they helped me. They definitely were my little companions and whatnot. So those are the 2 cats that I still have, 10 and 9 years old. I've had them for a very long time. Adding a few more little details to the outside, and then we're just about done, and we're gonna wrap up. There are a couple little glamour shots at the very end. Again, this build is on the gallery if you wish to download it and play with it. Let me know what you think down below, the comment section. Any comments, questions, or suggestions, always happy to hear from you guys. Again, thank you so much for the love on the channel. If you enjoy this kind of content, if you don't want to miss out on any more Sims 4 stuff, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss out, and you can follow me on my socials as well. All those fun links and everything are down there in the description. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day, and I'll talk at you in the next video. Bye!